Hello, Barendipitous here, and well, we got a new legend, and that means new lore to look at. So, I'm going to be looking at the lore of Lady Vera, legend number 6-7, and I'm going to talk about the various references, what it could potentially mean, my initial thoughts and theories, and so forth. I want to say that I'm able to bring this video out today because thanks to Blue Mammoth Games for sharing the lore with me a little bit early. Thank you very much for that. Definitely didn't have to do that, but I always appreciate you offering to do that each time, so that I can share this information with all of you right on schedule. So, yeah, here we go. I'm going to, well, actually, first, so I'm gonna go get over to the. So here's the image of the lore that I got. Okay, if there are some slight differences in spelling and grammar, that may happen. But as far as I know, this is pretty much set in stone. So we'll see. But yeah, here we go. I'm just gonna read through the whole thing, and then I will talk about and then also I want to go over the trailer as well. And then we'll talk about it some more. So here we go. The Luminary. A light most generous hath washed over the town this night. 'Tis a joyous thing that the lady and lion reigned victorious over Tim the were-rat. I cannot help but wonder whether she appears to vanquish the misbegotten, or if the wretched follow her every step. From the Hallowed Years manuscript, author unknown. This gleaming barrier is barely twinkling at best. You are 200 years too early to inherit my will. Return only after you have learned proper sigil stroke order. Lady Vera to Ethelflame, ex-leading expert on sigil stroke order. As the story goes, long ago, before the golden age of magic and orders, there was a myth. A priestess, a harbinger, a savior, a scribe. The truth of Lady Vera Omarova's life may lie with her alone, but some records are consistent. Several scrolls recount tales of a humble light scribe who composed brilliant arcane sigils. The god of light became particularly taken with her talents, and he parted unto her a piece of his holy domain. Carvings at the Crystal Cathedral of Yorecrest depict Lady Vera's pilgrimage across Thera to rid the land of its growing shadows and bring forth the god's gift. In one epic poem, she sanctified the Blight Lord's own scythe and vanquished him with it. The most definitive written instance of her word can be found in tomes chronicling the advent and fall of the Direwing Dreadnought. An Elysian choir arrived to fell the beast, but Vera turned them away, simply stating, "My light will prevail." At least one tapestry depicts her victory over the 7 demon titans while riding a flaming lion wearing sunglasses. The validity of that one is still up for debate. Lady Vera's greatest strengths lie in her wisdom, enduring legacy, and godlike magical powers. Even hundreds of years after her journey's end, the mantle of her duty and visage of her divine companion continue to serve as a symbol against darkness. Vera's devotion to the light remains unwavering in Brawlhalla. Whenever she gets into heated discussions with Isaiah on whether sacred smiting rays or pulse rifles are more effective against necrohydras, her lion quietly excuses himself and wanders off to catch up with Jala. And then let's go over the trailer really quickly.
The light honors no titles, only truth. Arise, my lion! My faith cuts deeper than steel.
These other skins, by the way, look fantastic. Covering several major design archetypes, like grand priestesses or great light clerics of fantasy.
By fang and flame, the
You can definitely see a lot of potentially some inspiration from like
call
Dark
this
Souls or
eternity.
FromSoft
I call
games,
it
Darkest
training.
Dungeon, Final Fantasy,
My
other like
judgment is swift
very serious
and very sharp.
deep fantasy settings.
These chakrams always return to strike again. I do not fight for victory. I fight for balance. But victory is nice too. Welcome
nice quote.
to Brawlhalla.
All right, so let's go over all of these things that we've got and see what does it mean exactly. So most of the speculation around Lady Vera before she was revealed regarding the various teaser images that Blue Mammoth Games shared. Actually, let me bring up those teaser images. I know I didn't make a video about these teasers necessarily, but I think it might be good to kind of like go over them briefly anyway, just to kind of point out what has been shown in the past. Here we go. Okay, so all right, so a few days ago, Brawlhalla teased this right here, a page of a book. Bright King's Dominion. In the sky of golden sun, heroism emerges from antiquity to exalt order from chaos lands. So yeah, in the sky of golden sun, heroism emerges from antiquity to exalt order from chaos lands. And it says page 67 for legend number 67. And then moving on here, this is the whole page spread right here. The Lightbringer, Aurelius Phoebus, 68, page 68. And so forth. So the idea of exalt, the words exalt and order really caught people's attention here. And it certainly caught my attention. And of course we have this sort of like moon sort of symbol, which I believe was also teased at one point. Yeah, here we go. Was told to post this, but I have no clue what it means. We just got this symbol along with the Fortress of Lions map behind it as well. And that's pretty much all we got. This is kind of what we this is what we got to sort of like speculate on, and again the whole idea of like the Order of the Exalted Lion, one of the major factions represented in Brawlhalla lore. Which, by the way, if you don't know what the Order of the Exalted Lion is, it is an order that a group of heroes that over time have basically made it a point to try to banish darkness, especially hunt monsters to save humanity from various forms of evil, usually monster forms like demons and so forth, right? The legends in Brawlhalla that are part of the Order of the Exalted Lion are Jala, Sir Roland, Diana, Mordex, and Isaiah. Now, some of those might be a little surprising to you, but I'll try to explain. So essentially, Jala was known as the first exalted lion. She gained the favor of Apollo, the Greek god of light, and Apollo blessed Jala with the title of exalted lion because of Jala's various escapades and feats trying to save people from vicious monsters like dragons and things like that, right? So Jala is the first exalted lion, and then we move ahead in time to Sir Roland. He's just one of his many titles is that he is part of the Order of the Exalted Lion. So he probably we don't know much more than that about Sir Roland's involvement, but he probably was simply a great knight who, among many other things, fought monsters as part of the Order of the Exalted Lion in medieval times in England area, the United Kingdom. Moving forward a little bit to Diana and Mordex. They are both from the same time period, at least a time period that had muskets and gunpowder and things like that. So at least a few centuries later, right? And of course, there's the whole conflict between Diana and Mordex, because Octavius Mordex, betrayed the Order because he joined the Order not to hunt monsters, but to essentially gain the power of the monsters for himself. He was very greedy. He became a monster himself as a werewolf, and Diana, of course, hated him for that, and she was betrayed And they both ended up in Brawlhalla, so now there's that vicious rivalry there, which is really cool. And then finally we have Isaiah. Now normally you might not think Isaiah is part of the Order of the Exalted Lion, but he is. And there's two ways that I know. There's two reasons I know that. Number one, even though he works for the American government, like a special ops, a secret special ops soldier. His missions that he goes on specifically are against demons, rakshasas, aliens, all these sorts of things that the Order of the Exalted Lion would be fighting against. He's just doing it in the context of government intelligence and secret agent missions, military, all that kind of stuff. And also his group in the American government in Brawlhalla lore is called the Office of Emergency Logistics. OEL, the same exact acronym as Order of the Exalted Lion. And it's just, and of course, I don't have any other things to point to necessarily, but if you were to ask any of the devs whether Isaiah was part of the Order, I know that they would tell you that he definitely is, or at least the way that the Order of the Exalted Lion looks in America in present day, essentially. The way the Order looked was changed over time. So that's the context behind the Order of the Exalted Lion. So you can imagine, and the developers know what they're doing when they put words like exalt and order, and also a big lion on a on a teaser like this, right? We couldn't really glean much else here. Like the king could have referred to something about Batavia, Aurelius Phoebus. We weren't entirely sure exactly what that meant, who that might have referred to. But yeah, there you go. I'm pretty sure like Aurelius Phoebus would have something to do with golden light or something, or something like that, right? So that's all that context. So what does it have to do with all of this lore, right? Sorry, this lore, because we don't see the Order of the Exalted Lion mentioned anywhere. So what's going on? Well, especially this second to last paragraph here, where it talks about, Lady Vera's, wisdom, enduring legacy, and godlike magical powers. It says even hundreds of years after all the stuff she did, the mantle of her duty and the visage, the image of her divine lion companion, continued to serve as a symbol against darkness. This is essentially saying, Jala may be the first exalted lion, but Lady Vera came before Jala and inspired the images, the iconography, the philosophy, and the goal of what the Order of the Exalted Lion is. So again, Jala was the first to get the title of Exalted Lion. That's when the Order officially began. Lady Vera, however, inspired it, basically. Other things that kind of tell us this. Well, it talks about how, in the first paragraph, it says the God of Light became particularly taken with her talents, and he parted unto her a piece of his holy domain. Now, if this is referring to Apollo, which I think it is, then I'm not entirely sure why a lion would be Apollo's companion. Based on my general knowledge of Greek mythology, I'm not aware of a lion being Apollo's main animal. Lions certainly appear in bits of in some stories involving Apollo, so not too much of a stretch really. Certainly could happen, but I guess the Lady Vera's lion companion that you see in her signatures and in the splash art here, that could either be a representation of Apollo, or like maybe a companion of Apollo, or just maybe some kind of like piece of Apollo, giving Lady Vera power, essentially, light power, because she already even before she got that, she was already a brilliant light scribe, scribing arcane sigils and everything, composed brilliant arcane sigils. Also, it's cool that we got Lady Vera's full name, Lady Vera Omarova, which is neat. I also like the fact that she is a scribe. She's, she has a book. She doesn't use an orb as a weapon, but she has a book with some of her signatures, obviously as a librarian and lore master. I like that a lot. People, when she was revealed, several people in the lore book club Discord server, basically, said that I was basically like Lady Vera because I'm librarian, magic and books and all that. Plus I'm old. Uh, and this is probably one of the first times that we've really seen a character, like an actual like older character, right? Fate was kind of close. I think a lot of people would say that Fate very much has like aunt energy, but I think Lady Vera definitely has a lot more like wrinkles around her face and mouth and things like that to show that she is an older person. And honestly, we don't usually see a lot of like older warriors, right? Like even groups of like priestesses or princesses or something that have a lot of diversity. Otherwise, look at the Disney princesses, for example. There's no older Disney princess. I guess that would be a Disney queen, I suppose. But that's not usually something that you see, and I think that's really cool. So that's neat. Also, I just noticed that her the cloth from around her waist includes that moon symbol there, whatever that bit of part of her robe is called. But anyway, let's see what else can we talk about. Let's see. So Thera is mentioned. Basically, the Crystal Cathedral of Yorkrest, which I don't think we've ever heard of Yorkrest before. The cathedral depicts Lady Vera's pilgrimage across Thera to rid the land of its growing shadows and bring forth the light god's gift. Right? So what is Thera? Thera we've heard about for a while. Essentially, Thera is what Earth is called before the fall of Atlantis. So most legends that, and you'll also notice that some legends have the Thera tag on them, right? Sidra, Jala, I think Thatch maybe, Fate, usually Taros, and there are a few more. Usually legends that are kind of like like European Western fantasy based or fantasy based that would be alive before Atlantis fell in like olden days. They are from Thera, which is basically Earth again before Atlantis sunk, essentially. So that's. And since Jala is from Thera, from definitely that wide time period, Lady Vera, as far as I can tell, is from before Jala's time, so that would also make a lot of sense. Curiously, by the way, a little side note, I don't think Kaya or Queen Nai have or Nash even, or maybe Nash, I can't remember. I don't think Kaya or Queen Nai don't have the Thera tag on them, I don't think, for whatever reason. I don't know if that means Thera is meant to be focused on like Europe and the Mediterranean Sea area or whatever. I don't know. But the official explanation of Thera is Earth before Atlantis sank. Let's see. What else? So there's references to a couple of monsters here. The Blight Lord's own scythe. So we know that Lady Vera's scythe belonged to a different monster, kind of like how Mordex's scythe, Kull, was stolen from the Wraith of Darkmoor, which that's the only reference we have of the Wraith of Darkmoor in the lore, is in Mordex's lore. A similar thing happened here, except in this case, Lady Vera took the Blight Lord's scythe and killed him with it, essentially, and used it as her own. I guess it is pretty much similar to what Mordex did. And then also there's a reference to a Direwing Dreadnought. Not sure. Again, like there are lots of references to various monsters in all kinds of lore pages. So we don't really, I think that's the only reference we have to that, and I think that's fine because the focus is on these legends. All those other monsters, they may have been great obstacles the legends had to overcome, but the legends did overcome them, right? Dreadnought, I think that's interesting. Usually that refers to a huge, ship or a huge vehicle of some kind. Not really sure what that would mean as far as like a creature would go. Could refer to like a. Oh, okay. At least so in Dungeons and Dragons, at least there's a monster called Astral Dreadnought. And it's essentially this giant crab-like abomination that just like wanders the astral plane, like wanders space and everything like that. So I'm guessing Dreadnought here simply refers to a very huge creature, apparently dire wing, so with wings, some kind of dragon type thing, whatever. But what may be more important to some of you, especially to you Zariel mains out there, Elysian Choir. An Elysian Choir arrived to fell the beast, but Vera turned them away, saying that her light will prevail. So Elysium is where Zariel is from. Zariel is a servant of the god Palladium, who lives in Elysium. And so I'm pretty sure the Elysian Choir is basically a group of warrior singer angels from Elysium. So I imagine Zariel might have a thing or two to say about that. So little reference to, we don't know if Zariel actually was part of that choir, but at least Zariel's associates certainly would have been, I believe. I love the last paragraph of each Legend's lore because of all the the little references you see in there. In this case, Lady Vera gets into heated discussions with Isaiah about the best way to destroy necrohydras, which that sounds terrifying. Lady Vera thinks it's sacred smiting rays, so whatever arcane sigils or rays that she shoots out from her staff or book or whatever, or her weapons. But Isaiah thinks it's pulse rifles. Basically, they're both kind of like Order of the Exalted Lion warriors, except Lady Vera is very much a precursor in Isaiah. So it's like Lady Vera is the earliest Exalted Lion person, right? Even though Jal is the first one with the title, but Lady Vera is helped inspire the group, I guess. And Isaiah is the most recent one. I think that's really cool. They have the oldest one and the youngest one arguing about this. And then Lady Vera's lion, wanders off to catch up with Jala. So that makes me wonder, is the lion actually Apollo? Personally, I don't think so, because we already have evidence of the Greek pantheon existing and Mount Olympus existing, with Thatch and Mako, Thatch and Mako's lore, as well as Thea's lore, talk a bit more about, and also Nyx's lore a little bit, talk more about Greek mythology and its place in Brawlhalla lore. So I'm guessing that the lion is simply like an aspect of Apollo, perhaps, or some kind of companion or something. But yeah, I think this is just really cool. This lore tends to be a bit more on the serious and mysterious side of things. And I wanted to talk about this. So a lot of this is like secondhand stuff, right? All these like details that come from an epic poem, or from a tapestry, or from carvings in a cathedral, things like that, right? The only direct accounts we get are from these quotes up here, right? Which, as always, they are of course like hilarious and show how awesome Lady Vera is, which is kind of the point. But we don't really have any these are like Lady Vera is from so long ago that there's not much in the way of like direct primary sources about Lady Vera, and I think that's really cool. As someone who appreciates academic research, I think that's really cool that especially like with history, what we know about a lot of especially what we know about like Greek and Norse and Egyptian and Celtic and whatever mythology. A lot of it is just whatever's surviving, right? We don't have the answers to like so many other things. Norse mythology, for example, like sure we know about like Loki and Thor and Odin and Frigg and Freya and Balder and whatever, all these characters, but there's so many other characters that are mentioned like once or twice, and that's it. And we don't really hear much about them because there's not much to say. All we know is like so-and-so who did this so-and-so who was present at this event. And that's it. That's all we get. It's things like that kind of like fascinate me a bit, because it shows, it shows how incomplete our knowledge is, but it kind of, I think that's really cool how how nuanced knowledge and history can be, because sure, we have more knowledge at our fingertips than ever, but the way the lore is written here is just a really cool example of all of this second and third hand accounts of this character who we're now playing as in Brawlhalla. So we really don't know all that much. She's technically almost as mysterious as Orion. Not quite, Orion's still the most mysterious one, but she almost is, because the like very few of this, apart from the only thing that we know for sure really is her ability in battle, and as well as her connection with the god of light. I'm guessing Apollo. I guess her name, and that's pretty much it, right? And that she was clearly awesome enough to be invited to Brawlhalla. So yeah, thank you very much. I think that's all I've got for now. Feel free to chat in the comments, or also in the Lore Book Club Discord server about all this lore and everything. Want to make sure I didn't miss anything in any notes that I had. Yeah, basically just this kind of idea that Lady Vera can kind of be seen as kind of the precursor to the Order of the Exalted Lion. And then the lore talks about like the mantle of her duty and the visage of her divine companion. So if you're not aware, a mantle, essentially the responsibility. Like her duty was to banish the darkness, to destroy evil and darkness and shadow and all that, right? And so that responsibility was later put on the Order of the Exalted Lion, and the symbol of the Order of the Exalted Lion is inspired by Lady Vera's lion companion. You even see on her book here, if we can we look at it? Come on, here we go. On her book here, on the splash art. I mean, of course, there's the big lion thing that's a part of her splash art, but on her book is this lion symbol as well. So I think that's really cool. We've now like taken several steps back to see what happened before the Order of the Exalted Lion became a thing. Lady Vera. And I think also another reason people suspected Lady Vera was very much part of the Order of the Exalted Lion were the colors, right? The colors of her outfit very much are in line with the exalted colors from Battle Pass Season 4, the red and the blackish gray and the white, right? Were there any other like cool details to see in this trailer here? At least in the animated part. We got this really cool like cathedral with all these candles and this lion visage and everything. I think the pages of the book that the devs teased us with are essentially like, these are the pages, basically. Even like one of the signatures is kind of there, the lion, like, with the energy and all that. Lady Vera, consulting the ancient book. I don't think there's a lot of details to be had here, but it is still just cool to like kind of look at these animated trailers frame by frame. The light, Lady Vera masked, and then it's gonna shut the book to kind of transition over to. I like how it kind of makes that like cool cross kind of like image. Her face is kind of unveiled a little bit, and then of course we see all the gameplay and all the skins and everything like that, right? And this awesome art. Right? That's all? Yeah. She basically just like appears with her cool scythe and the book, and of course she has chakra as well. Thank you very much for listening to my ramblings about the lore. Feel free to go in the comments or in the Lore Book Club Discord server to talk about this a bit more. And until next time, all the best.